Hi there, my name's Imogen Weatherhead and I'm the co-founder and CEO at Qudini, and I've got some really interesting survey insights that show how US consumers are behaving within retail stores during this coronavirus era. At the end of October 2020, we ran a survey to 2,000 US consumers to understand how they were interacting with stores, what concerns do they have within stores, and which technology solutions to manage their experience are they most interested in. At the time of the survey, coronavirus cases were rising, especially in the Midwest. It was a few days away from the US election, and AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson and a couple of other companies had just been given permission to continue vaccine trials, having taken a break. Weather had also taken a turn for worse as it was moving into winter. We broke down our survey insights by gender, household income, and age generation, and we also asked customer opinions across a variety of different types of retailers. Our key findings showed that consumers are still largely avoiding stores because of the coronavirus, so 63% of customers said that they were still avoiding stores. We found that across all age groups, here on the left, customers were equally likely to avoid stores, but groups from higher household income groups were more likely to avoid stores. So you've got 71% in the highest household income brackets here versus 60% in the lower household income brackets over there. So this shows that retailers could be missing out on some of their key customer groups who are avoiding stores more than others. We also found that the main reason that customers are avoiding stores is, of course, because of the coronavirus. So 81% of people said that the reason they were avoiding stores was because of the coronavirus. 51%, so half of people, said that they've been doing more online shopping, so we're seeing more omni-channel behaviours embedding in customers. 36% said that it was because of financial reasons. Obviously, there's an increasing economic impact of the coronavirus, and that is impacting people and their reasons for visiting stores. And furthermore, 21% said that they were avoiding stores because of environmental consciousness reasons, so they were trying to buy less excess things. If we look at this by age group, you can see that baby boomers are slightly more likely than other demographics to avoid stores for health consciousness reasons. They're also less likely than other demographics to avoid stores for reasons of doing more online shopping. We found that millennial customers are the most likely to avoid stores for financial reasons, and interestingly, Gen Z and millennial customers, followed then by Gen X, are the most likely to avoid stores for environmental consciousness reasons. And you can see a big disparity between the Gen Z younger generations and the baby boomer generations in environmental consciousness. And I think this statistic is really interesting because it's something that retailers need to be aware of. Customers are avoiding stores and avoiding buying things for environmental consciousness reasons, and this is only going to grow. We then wanted to ask customers which types of stores they're avoiding. So were they avoiding some stores more than others? And we found that food and health associated retail stores were less likely to be avoided. So you've got these ones, grocery stores, pharmacy stores, pet stores, banks, health food stores, DIY stores, opticians, and then you've got some of your higher product value stores as well. So real estate, garden centres, cycle stores were very important to people. Whereas some of these fashion and also other kind of higher priced item stores down here are more likely to be avoided. So shopping malls, luxury product, jewellery, lingerie, homeware, shoe stores, sportswear stores were more likely to be avoided. Next, we asked customers what concerned them, what bothered them about visiting stores, and we found that over half of people were concerned by other people not wearing masks and getting too close to other people. Thirdly, it was touching products and surfaces that other people have touched. 30% almost were concerned about having to wear masks themselves, and also a quarter of people were bothered by the idea of waiting in line inside or outside of stores. We next asked customer opinions on a number of different retail choreography tools that retailers are putting in order to choreograph and manage their experiences within store, and how useful they would have found these outside of the coronavirus and during the coronavirus. And we found that most of the solutions would be more useful to customers during coronavirus, but also they would have found them useful outside of the coronavirus. So number one was asking customers, would they appreciate contactless curbside collections of their online orders? So collecting their buy online, pick up in store products from the curbside outside of the store. And we found that a quarter of customers said this would have been useful before COVID, which is interesting because not very many retailers were offering this type of service before COVID, although it has been slowly growing. But now half, or 53% of customers said it would be useful during coronavirus. So we are seeing coronavirus kind of become a catalyst for retailers to offer this type of service. And we also found virtual services in a similar way. So a quarter of people said they would have found virtual service from the comfort of their own home useful before COVID, and 42% say it would be useful during COVID. So this really makes us wonder whether these kind of new omni-channel services will remain after COVID, and the insights on the next page help show that further actually. So we also asked about technology to reduce wait lines and also appointment scheduling, and found that on average around 33-34% of customers would have found these solutions useful before coronavirus, and during coronavirus just slightly more, 40% would find these useful as well, so almost as useful as virtual service and contactless pickup. We found that a quarter of people found that hosts that greet them outside of the store would also be useful outside of COVID and would be equally useful during coronavirus. So we wonder if COVID could become a big catalyst for these types of tools to be implemented by retailers. And the reason being is that if you look over here on the left, you can see younger generations, so your Gen Z and millennial customers, were much more likely to have found these services useful before coronavirus. So this is just the generational interest in these services before COVID as well. So you can see there's a big disparity between Gen Z and then the baby boomer customers, which makes you think that Gen Z and millennial customers might have wanted these services all along. In addition, you can also see the higher household income groups are more interested in these tools before coronavirus as well, showing that higher household income groups have always had higher expectations and wanted to be managed in more digital ways by retail. And COVID therefore could become a catalyst for these tools being implemented and may likely remain after the coronavirus pandemic. So we asked customers before the coronavirus, how often would you avoid entering or walk out of a store because of a wait for service or to check out? And 14% of people said that they would often do so. 33% said they would sometimes do so, and 35% said they would rarely do so. So 85% of customers are admitting to walking out of stores because of waits. Interestingly, we found that younger generations over here on the left were 3 times more likely than baby boomers to walk out of stores or avoid entering stores because of wait times, and higher household income groups were also 2 times more likely to walk out of stores because of wait times than the lower household income groups. So retailers are losing some of their key customer groups, the higher household income groups and the millennial and Gen Z customers, who are increasingly increasing in spending power and are very important to the future of retail because of poor experience with waiting times. We then asked customers, are they more likely to walk out of stores because of queuing during the coronavirus? And 52% said that they were more likely to do so. 28% said more likely, and 25%, so a quarter of people, said they were much more likely to do so. Again, we also found the same correlations, that younger generations were more likely to be deterred by wait lines during the coronavirus pandemic and to avoid entering a store or walk out of a store, and higher household income groups were also more likely. So during the coronavirus, the problem is massively exacerbated, and these high value and important customer groups continue to tend to be lost because of wait lines. And again, sadly, it's the higher household income groups who most agree with this statement that a long wait time would deter them from returning to a store. And we found that overall, over half of every single age group agrees with the statement as well. We asked customers why queuing was such a concern during COVID. Why was it more of a concern than before? And almost half, 47% of people, said that they were scared of contracting COVID-19 when queuing. 34% said they didn't like being uncomfortable, they didn't like not knowing how long they had to wait. 28 and 26% was concerned with wasting time and weather conditions. And these factors were more important than things like getting bored or feeling undervalued by the brand. But it's this lack of information or lack of control that upsets customers, plus the additional health concerns. So we then wanted to understand how long do customers consider a long wait, and how long are they willing to wait in these different stores before they're lost immediately or less likely to return. And we found that half of customers said they were not prepared to wait more than 10 minutes for service within stores. 20% said that they would only wait up to 3 minutes, 17% said they would wait between 4 and 7 minutes, and 16% said they would wait between 8 and 10 minutes. So retailers don't have long to maintain customer comfort. But the fact that customers, the main thing that concerns them with waiting in line is this kind of not feeling in control, is how can you give control back to customers while they're waiting to ensure that they want to stay in store, they feel happier to stay in store. We then asked by different types of retailers how long customers were willing to wait. And you can see at the bottom, they're prepared to wait longest in stores like travel agencies, real estate agencies, opticians, health food stores. So a lot of the essential stores, the health stores, and also some of these very, very high value product stores like real estate and travel agencies. Customers were prepared to wait least long in stores like garden centres, makeup and skincare, homeware, fashion, sportswear, jewellery, shoe stores, cycle stores. So those top ones are kind of the non-essential stores where it's more of a quick purchase product and customers are not as prepared to wait so long. We found that, having previously showed you that these younger generations and higher household income groups were less tolerant and more likely to walk out of a store or not return to a store because of a wait, they were actually slightly more patient. So that threshold that they'll wait before they walk out was slightly longer than the lower household income groups or the baby boomer generation. So retailers have got a little bit more time to appease these customers before they're lost. We then wanted to ask customers what they thought of these different retail choreography tools that retailers were implementing to manage their customers' experience during coronavirus and possibly outside, some of the ones already mentioned earlier. Customers said that the solutions that would be most useful were, number one, virtual appointments. So enabling customers from the comfort of their own home to book an appointment online that then takes place online over video or even by phone with someone who's based in a store or a contact center. And half of customers said that that would be useful in some stores. Next was virtual wait line systems, so the ability to join a virtual queue or wait line from your phone by scanning a QR code or texting a code and receiving SMS updates while they're waiting their turn, so that they're then just called forward and they can only go into the store for their turn or go and speak to an advisor for their turn. They can be more productive and efficient while they're waiting. And 20% of customers said they wanted to see that. After that, it was contactless curbside pickup, so the ability to collect online orders from the curbside by first checking in from your phone when you get to store so that someone can know that you're there, go and find your order and bring it out to you. And 20% of customers also wanted to see that. After that, it was this idea of a host with a tablet, managing customers' experience when they come in store, providing wait time information, adding them to a virtual wait line that way, and updating them verbally as their turn draws near. And almost 18% of customers wanted that. And after that, it was also store appointments, kind of almost neck and neck, which is the ability to book a time to come into store for service with some from the comfort of their own home. And that was also 18% of customers. We found that the priority of these different tools varied based on the different types of retailers. So quick purchase stores like grocery stores, shopping malls, fashion stores and shoe stores, customers favorited contactless pickup as the most important system. After that, virtual appointments. After that, the idea of virtual wait lines, virtual queuing systems. After that, hosts with tablets, and then thereafter, store appointments. Stores with higher priced items, the priorities were slightly different. So this is car dealerships, travel stores, opticians, estate agencies, banks and building societies. Virtual appointments were seen as the most important, so connecting with someone by phone or video from the comfort of your own home. After that, store appointments, so booking a more detailed in-store appointment that they can turn up efficiently for and just see the advisor when they need to. After that was virtual wait line software. After that was a host with a tablet. And after that was contactless collections, because this is not so important to customers in these higher priced item stores, where actually the most important thing is service and understanding the product through speaking with an advisor. Also, some of the stores with kind of longer sales processes, but still quite high value products like jewelry, lingerie, electronics, department, pet, sports and cycle stores. Virtual appointments again were the favorite, followed by contactless curbside pickup services, followed by virtual queuing systems, virtual waitline system. After that, host with a tablet, and thereafter in-store appointments. So the priorities differ by different stores, and if you download our report, you can see this graph in a bit more detail. We then wanted to understand what the benefit for a retailer offering these tools would be. So what impact do customers feel that using one of these tools would have on their experience? And we found that over half of customers said that they would be more likely to visit the retailer in the first place because of their use of these tools. Over half would be more likely to return again. Over half would also be more likely to tell their friends. So these tools can not only acquire customers, but they can also increase advocacy and loyalty from customers. Over half, 54%, said they would feel safer and happier. They would think better of the brand, so would have kind of an improved relationship and improved brand perception. So brands can help to use this in part of their strategy to stay relevant with modern consumers and all consumer groups. And 48% said they would be more likely to choose a retailer over a competitor. So it shows that retailers can use these tools to stand out in the market. But most importantly, 46% of customers said that if a retailer used these tools, they would be more likely to buy something in a store, and 67% said they would be more likely to buy something online. So this really shows that if you manage customers in more digital ways, they will be willing to spend more, and that will be across the whole omni-channel piece as well. We broke this down by these different tools again, so you can see that customers would be most likely to buy something in a store because of contactless pickup services and online as well, but still pretty much half of customers would be more likely to buy something in a store or buy something online because of all these other services. And if you download our pack again, you can see this across the different tools, but it's almost kind of neck and neck in terms of the impact on customers, on their acquisition, likelihood of returning, likelihood of advocating, improved brand perception, etc. We then wanted to compare it by age generation. So interestingly, we found that younger generations were more likely to find these different tools to choreograph their experience within stores useful, or that they would have some positive impact on their spend or relationship with a retailer in some way than baby boomers, although it was still very close for baby boomers, which was interesting. We then wanted to ask customers why they thought some of these tools would be useful. So why virtual queuing software and why appointment scheduling software would be good. And the main thing we found was that customers felt that it would alleviate their health concerns. So half of customers said that a virtual queuing system would reduce their risk of contracting COVID-19, and 30% of customers said that appointment scheduling would reduce their risk of contracting COVID-19. The other key factors for people were the fact that it keeps them more informed and they can use their time productively. So they gain control, they can avoid the weather for virtual queuing, and also fair process was very important. For appointment scheduling, similar in terms of customers felt it was more efficient and they also felt that they would get better service. And this particular graph is comparing by household income groups. So these lighter blue household income groups are the higher household income groups. And interestingly, you can see that they are more concerned with using their time productively, and this is a bigger benefit to them, as well as the idea of enjoying their wait. But for appointment bookings, interestingly, they felt the main benefit was that they could get better service because the advisor would be ready for them and they only need to come in to the appointment just for them. That whole appointment is dedicated time to them. So it really shows that actually retailers can offer these tools to attract higher household income groups to their stores and to offer them better service that converts to sales, but also builds a long-term relationship with those customer groups. We then wanted to understand more about virtual queuing systems and just general kind of best practices for using the tools that Qudini is helping many retailers with for choreographing their experiences. So firstly, for virtual queuing, how long does the wait need to be before it's useful to ask a customer to join the queue via their phone or join a queue via their host? And our assumption was that the wait time would be shorter for a host and longer by phone. And interestingly, we found that actually that was the case, but the difference was much smaller than we thought it would be. So the mean wait time before customers would find joining by a host useful was 10.45 minutes, and joining by phone was just 1 minute higher at 11.54 minutes. You can see this how it breaks down across these different time brackets here. So 17% thought it would be useful to join by a host even if the wait was just up to 3 minutes, 16% by phone, 15% thought that it would be useful to join by host or by phone if the wait was between 4 and 7 minutes, and around 16% between 8 and 10 minutes. We also wanted to ask customers if a retailer used a virtual queuing system, how would they want to join the queue? We found that joining by text message was the most voted or highest rated method of joining the queue, which is interesting because it's something that not a lot of retailers think about when they're implementing tools like ours. Qudini offers the ability to set up a code and customers can text to join the queue, and you can also have a QR code on the poster as well. But we have found that text messaging gets higher uptake than QR codes for joining the queue. We also found that 50%, so half of customers would want to join by the host with the tablet, 46% would want to join by QR code, 54% would want to join by the retailer's app, so that was a popular method and retailers could considering integrating these tools into their apps. 49% would want to join by self-service kiosks, so that was slightly lower rated than other methods alongside QR code. And understanding how customers would feel about giving their mobile number, we understood that 58% of customers were willing to give their mobile number in order to purely receive updates about their queue position. And 32% of customers said that they would opt into marketing. And we found that younger generations were equally likely to give their mobile number as the baby boomer generations, but they were much more likely to opt into marketing messages. Next, we asked customers how they would want to schedule an appointment if given the option, and found that booking appointments online was by far the highest rated method. We then found after this was booking by the retailer's app and also booking in by text message. So retailers really should include their appointment booking offerings online and in their apps as a must. Next was by QR codes, and that could be QR codes within the store or QR codes within a retailer's outdoor advertising or even adverts in print like magazines. And after that was booking by the call center. And we found that customers, interestingly, were much more likely to want to book an appointment by calling the store than they were to book an appointment by calling the call center. We found that half of customers, 54%, would be willing to give their email address purely to receive appointment reminders, and 55% said that they would be willing to give their mobile number in order to receive SMS updates. And this was interesting because we actually thought customers would be a bit more protective of their mobile number, but it turns out it's the same. We then also wanted to ask if retailers are offering contactless pickup services that enable customers to check in from their phone when they get to store so that the store team can go and find their order straight away and bring it out to the customer. How would customers want to check in? And again, we found SMS code was the most popular. Second to that was using the retailer's app to check in. And third was being able to check in from a link that's provided in the order confirmation email telling them that their online order is now in store to pick up. We found that using self-service screens or tablets, checking with a store host or a customer service desk was not so highly rated, probably because it defeats the point of a contactless click and collect journey from the curbside if they have to engage with a staff member to check in. And we found that QR codes were popular for 15% of customers, so it was much less than the idea of enabling the customer to check in by SMS code again. When we look at it by age generation, it's interesting to see that if you look at the red lines here, that's your Gen Z and millennial customers versus your blue lines as your baby boomers. Customers in the millennial groups and the younger generations are much more likely to want to use self-service methods than their baby boomer counterparts. So for virtual queuing, got 51% are willing to use QR codes. So that puts QR code actually much more popular than the previous overview graph show it. for millennial customers, and 30% of baby boomers only would want to join by QR code. Similar for kind of the self-service kiosk tablet as well. And you can see the same patterns for booking an appointment or checking in for online orders. Gen Z and millennial customers are almost twice as likely than baby boomers to want to use these methods to check in. We also then wanted to understand if a retailer was offering a contactless curbside pickup service, what percentage of customers wanted to use it when they were traveling by car versus just on foot. And we found that it was more popular for car, so 65% of customers said they'd be likely to use the service when traveling by car, and 49%, so still half of customers, said they would want to use the service on foot. We found that Gen Z and millennial customers were more interested in collecting their online orders on foot, whereas both generational groups were likely to want to use the service by car, and we find the higher household income groups were more likely to want to use the service by car and on foot. So our conclusion from the survey is that even 6 months after the start of the pandemic, customers are still largely avoiding stores. But these insights on tools show that there is a significant opportunity to both attract and retain these customers by offering more safe, engaging and efficient customer experiences that use digital tools to manage them and to offer them a better, more premium and faster service. And that retailers who do this will not only be able to attract customers in the short time because it will allay their health concerns, but they'll also be able to increase sales in their stores and across their whole omni-channel piece, and they'll also be able to drive greater loyalty to their stores long term. We're Qudini, and we work with a number of leading global brands to offer solutions for virtual queuing, appointment booking, and curbside click and collect pickup. All of the solutions that we've just provided some survey insights, which is why we were so interested to understand what consumers thought of these tools. And we've been helping our clients through them to acquire customers, increase sales, drive longer lasting loyalty and advocacy, to also reduce their resource costs and improve their overall productivity thanks to the tools and our very, very insightful data platform, as well as helping them to improve their use of space, centralize tools, and also enhance their competitive advantage overall. Thank you so much for watching, and please feel free to get in touch if I can provide any more detail on these insights, or if you'd like to see a demo of our tool and how we're helping other brands in your space during and beyond the coronavirus pandemic.